In the battle for Israel's independence in 1948, the Arab Legion ended up with not only the entire Old City of Jerusalem, but a key hill in West Jerusalem that turned out to be very problematic for the Israelis over the next 19 years. That was Ammunition Hill. Ammunition Hill was seized by the Arab Legion in 1948 and was held until the Six-Day War in June of 1967. Today, it is a national memorial site. This hill is located on the western slopes of Mount Scopus, which is the northern extension of the Mount of Olives. Ammunition Hill controls most of the territory on the north side of the Old City. This hill was so protected that in the early stages of the Six-Day War, it was left alone by the Israelis. This diagram from the site, a lighted map on the floor, shows the initial attacks occurring on the south side of Jerusalem, taking what is now the promenade area and points south of there. But for the Israelis, a much harder task was going to be to protect Mount Scopus and the north side of Jerusalem. Mount Scopus was the one enclave controlled by the Jews on the northeast side of Jerusalem, actually being east of Ammunition Hill. Since time immemorial, the most likely place to attack Jerusalem has always been from the north. So, when the Six-Day War began, the Israelis needed to move quickly and protect the north side of the city. Let's listen to our tour guide explain the tactics associated with that protection.
All of the northern part of Route 1, which is this, runs along. Okay, it's almost the exact same today, it's just wider, nicer. And you guys are going to conquer all of this area in order to ensure that Mount Scopus is not attacked from the north. And so at 5 p.m. they get to this place, okay, the Castel, which is it's a very famous battle from 48. And basically the whole regiment kind of disperses, and each battalion gets a different mission. One is going to the radar. This is what we heard in the story. This is the radar. And then Jabal al-Sheikh. Second regiment goes to take Sheikh Abdul Aziz, which today is Mevaseret Zion. You know Mevaseret, right out of Jerusalem? Kind of when you go on Route 1 to Jerusalem, on your left there's another small city. That's Mevaseret. It's the exact same place. It was in Jordan's hands. Half of it was in Jordanian hands, actually. And another hill here, it's called Khil Bet Luza, and I had the privilege of hearing an actual tour there with a company commander who is still alive, who lost half of his company here. And then another regiment that went up here, the tanks, did something incredible, only 4 reached their destination, but they managed to do what they needed to do. And so the whole regiment kind of pulls to this area, Tel El Ful. In this place, which is also high, relatively high, there was a palace of Hussein, the king of Jordan. When we take over this area, we block the road north for the Jordanians from Jerusalem from Ramallah and Nablus towards Jerusalem, and so the northern part of the city could breathe a little bit. This happens during the second half of the first day of the war. They get here at night. They did not yet reach Mount Scopus. Okay? This is what Ha'el Brigade did. Very, very hard battles. A lot of landmines. A lot of losses.
After that came the assault on Ammunition Hill directly. It was a difficult battle. The Jordanians fought bravely and held the hill with about 150 soldiers, about 3 times larger force than the Israelis expected, meaning that the Israelis were trying to conquer a hill with the same number of soldiers who were protecting that hill. You don't do that in a battle. That's suicide. There are many stories about the actual conquering of the hill at that site, and we won't be going into them in this broadcast. However, a key moment occurred when an Israeli drove a tank up the hill without ammunition, unable to do anything with that tank except put himself in harm's way. Yet, the presence of that single tank caused the Jordanians to believe that they were soon to be overwhelmed, and their mental resolve began to weaken. It was a turning point. In the end, 36 soldiers lost their lives and 71 Jordanians at Ammunition Hill. Nobody would have expected such light casualties for the Israelis being an advancing force on a well-protected hill. After taking the hill, the Israeli forces were able to move forward towards the old city, staying on the north side for the time being. You may have heard about the Israeli flag that flew over the Temple Mount. That original flag, its story, and the story behind the message written on the flag is also to be found at the site Ammunition Hill today. This hill is also today the main location to commemorate all Israeli soldiers who lost their lives in the battles for Jerusalem, 182 in total, and there are 182 olive trees that have been planted on Ammunition Hill. In addition, on the 50th anniversary of the Six-Day War, there was a ceremony that gathered surviving Jordanian troops with surviving Israeli troops. The Jordanian troops fought bravely, so it was a ceremony of respect in both directions. This site is convenient to reach and can be visited in as little as an hour or longer. Hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, this is Bob Odell with Root Source Tours saying, Shalom.